I'm going to begin because otherwise you might run out of time. I'm going to be here for just a few short minutes. But before we begin proceedings, I felt it important to say a few thank yous, but also to say a few words about the beginnings of this company and how we've grown from now. My name's Jean Cullen. I'm one of the proud daughters of Bernard Cullen, and I'm also an executive director at Cullen International. So very proud to be here today, and I thank you all immensely for giving up your precious time, our esteemed speakers who are here today, to help us pull this event together and to present to you what I think is going to be a splendid day. I should have said a very, very warm welcome to everybody today, but I hope that it will remain cool until lunchtime so that we can enjoy and listen to the speakers carefully. My father started the company in 1986, and all those years ago, he started off very modestly with 3 clients, people who knew him for his expertise, his integrity, and his honesty. And basically they said yes immediately. It was a very easy start to the company. And we have been lucky to be able to build on those values for the last 40 years. I say we, and I use that very lightly because all of the people who've actually helped build this company are either here or will be watching this later on today. Many experts followed my father, and it's their knowledge, their ability to communicate very simply, very complex topics that I think has been able to drive this company forward. And we have also a full team behind those experts who support you in buying from us and looking after you and taking care of you. Customer satisfaction is our key goal in life, is to keep you happy. My father said the best way to win new clients is to keep your existing clients. And that's the ethos that we've used forever since. But everybody we recruit into the company is of that mindset. You know, that's something that we look for in an individual, that they care, they really, really care. And if we talk about caring, we need to talk about Philippe. We need to talk about all of the experts who are currently in the balcony, but will be joining you shortly, because they care immensely about what they do. And I'm very proud, very honored to walk amongst them and, you know, to serve you, our clients. And there's one chap in particular that I would especially like to thank. And he's been here for a very long time. When I first met Philippe, he was a young lad. I think I was a young girl too. But he's been the golden thread that's run through this company over the last 4 decades. And he really has. And, you know, it's how to take the baton that my father handed over and to instill all the values that he had into everybody else that came in the company. Everybody who's an expert, they are an expert, but they have to learn the Cullen way. We are neutral. We don't give opinion. We don't tell you what you want to hear, but we will always tell you what you need to know. And we had to instill that in everybody that came into the company. Philippe is the person who's had that continuity. My father passed the reins of managing directorship onto others, and some of, you know, who are here today, Valerie Williams and Jan Gutler, Ken Leeson, who's in America. He passed the baton on, but the constant thread, the person who helped weave those values back into the company, into the team, and those individuals who've then themselves done the same to anybody else that joined the company, that is this man here, who has been almost 40 years in this company and will have another party to celebrate that one. But it's Philippe Defraigne. So I want to bring him to you right now. Before I do that, I want to just thank all our customers for supporting us for the last 40 years, for these lovely people here have given up their precious time today to help us. And I'm going to now hand over to the main man who needs no introduction.
You. Oh, fresh. Yeah. Thank you, Jean. I'm blushing. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all here. You heard that we just turned 40. Do we look 40? No, younger. You'd say younger. That's right. But thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to us and to all colleagues. When I reflected about what I could tell you this morning, I looked at Robert Queck there and I thought, let's do something about how regulation evolved in the last 40 years. But then I looked at the program, which is on your fan. And I don't know whether you saw the level, but so I decided it would be unwise for me to seek to compete. So I'm going to retrench into another topic closer to my heart, which is Cullen International. And like many stories in this city, the story starts with a Frenchman named Jacques. Jacques Delors arrived in Brussels in January 1985, and he soon embarked into a very ambitious program to achieve the single market. Now, Mario Draghi will tell you that there is still some work to do, but what Jacques accomplished in the 10 years that he was in Brussels is pretty formidable. And what was really remarkable, I don't know, Renato, whether you agree, what was remarkable about Delors is that he turned what was, in essence, a technocratic project into a popular movement, something that citizens really supported, And the fact that he launched this movement meant that the telecom sector, the media sector, which were previously sacred cows, were treated like all the others, like airlines, like banks, like insurance. So this is the revolution that he put in place. So pretty remarkable guy. At that time, and he loved sport, football and the Tour de France in particular. At that time, in the city, there was another man who looked much younger than that. I don't know why we put this picture, but much younger than that. Bernard Cullen was a telecom engineer, and he had spent the 10 previous years buying international lease lines to connect a data center next to NATO, next to the airport. For people my generation, when I say data center, Tom, I mean a mainframe. You understood that. But for young people, I say data center. And back in those days, buying lease lines from the monopoly PTTs means that if the line crossed borders, there was an extra charge. If you connected the line to UPBX, that was an extra charge. So he had spent a fair amount of time fighting the PTTs for that. So when Jacques arrived in town in 85, Bernard thought that maybe it was a good time to change career. Instead of fighting the PTTs, he could watch Jacques fight the PTTs. Sounded like a better job. So that's how Cullen International was founded in 1986. Now, sometimes people ask us, how did you guys make this company? What is your secret? And today, I'm going to reveal the secret of Cullen International. Listen, take notes. We have a fantastic sense of timing. And I'll explain. When I met Bernard in 1988, his main job was to help large companies fight the PTTs and fight on the prices of international lease lines and the usage condition. Long story. Shortly afterwards, Christian Hospier, that many of you know, wrote the Services Directive, which the Commission adopted in 1990. And in the space of 2 or 3 years, we lost all our clients, That was that. Thank you, Christian. That was not a good move. Then in 1990, shortly after the fall of the Berlin Wall, Bernard thought it would be a good idea to write the perfect telecom guide to Czechoslovakia, still a country back in those days, Jan Monika, Hungary and Poland, except that we were in the middle of the first Gulf War and many large companies had imposed a ban on air travel, not a commercial success. A bit later in that decade, in the 90s, you remember the dot-com era, Carlos? Dot-com era. So we thought it would be a good idea to move away from telecom a bit and start looking into privacy, distance selling, which became the e-commerce directives, e-money and money, these sort of things. So off we go. Then arrived March 2000, the bubble burst, the stock market crashed, took us a few years to recover. By now, you won't be surprised that we waited to the financial crisis of 2008 to launch Latin America. And of course, we waited the double dip of 2012 to launch the Middle East North Africa service. So a perfect sense of timing is what characterizes our company, I think. But as they say, what does not kill you makes you stronger. You know? And probably among the things that made us strong and made us what we are today is that we always sought to recruit people more clever than us, you know, and to this day, this is the line that we have tried to follow. And we now have this great team of, 70 people that are all here today. So you all meet them today. And of 33 nationalities, I think we are. To conclude, I'd like to share with you two things which are close to my heart. The first one is better regulation for a better world. I know that some of you, including among my colleagues, think that I'm an old idealist, perhaps a bit naive. But this is something that I truly believe. I think that a better regulation can lead to a better world. And I noticed that a number of my colleagues, are practicing it. Veronica, who is sitting there, is helping the Ukrainian authorities rewrite their telecom laws to accelerate, to pave the way for accession talks. Michel Ledger has been working with a couple of countries in the Balkans on media independence. With my colleague Ali and Muatasem, we hope to be in Baghdad and Damascus later this year. And these are just examples. So it's not just something that a number of us believe, me certainly, but it's something that we also put into practice. Alors, my final point before handing over to you, Renate, is the Brussels effect. It's the name of a famous book, but it's also something that we have at Cullen experience. We travel the world, and those of us that do come from Brussels, like me, this is always what dominates conversation around the world. And I basically have two messages. I have, first of all, a message for people from the EU bubble. At the moment, sometimes the atmosphere is a bit morose in regulatory circle, not really 1985, not the Delors years. And guys, whenever your morale is a bit low, jump on a plane anywhere around the world and talk about EU law. People will not necessarily agree with you, but you were in Brasilia last week, so perhaps you can say a word on that. People will not always agree with you, but I will always be very keen to hear the state of the debate. So that's for Brussels people. For people from outside from outside Europe, the Brussels effect is, of course, not, Carlos, about copy-paste from Brussels. We're not at all suggesting that what may work for Europe should work for your country. But what I can say is this. EU law is heavily debated in the building behind, among 27 member states, with industry. And so far, we've managed to keep big money away from our legislative process. At least we have no PAC and super PAC. So clearly, listening to the debates of around EU law is something that I believe that's the true Brussels effect. That's the true Brussels effect. Then I thought I would perhaps say quote Bernard. Bernard had a lot of expression. Michel, you remember? And he often say, Cullen International, we're not a fly-by-night company. You know this expression, a fly-by-night company, not good. We're not. And the fact that thanks to you, we are still here 40 years later is the proof of that. And Jean, I think if Bernard was here today, towards the end of the day, he would probably say something like, we must have done something right. That's what he would say. He wouldn't say more. Say, we must have done something right. So thank you for us for having, turned this company into not a fly-by-night company, made it last 40 years and probably many years to come. Thank you so much.